I'm Chris Estrada. I am a commercial real estate professional by trade and also a full-time entrepreneur and an endurance athlete on the weekends. I love mountain biking, I love running, I love swimming, I love anything where there's an opportunity to really push myself to the limit, and just anything that's just a lot of fun in those regards. Anything from mountain biking to road biking to running 5 miles, running 10 miles, whatever that might be. So growing up, I was a wrestler, and I went through a lot of different injuries, from messed up shoulders to rolling my ankles a lot. It's because when you're running around on the mat, you're putting yourself in all kinds of weird positions, whatever else. And sometimes when you're driving someone, your ankles have a tendency to roll. And ever since, for the past 10 years, I've always had issues with rolling my ankles, and they've been pretty weak. Usually also when I'm running, used to be when I'd run like 2 to 3 miles, my shin splints would come in. And now that I'm running between 5, 10, 15 miles, the shin splints could get really bad. But lately, using the LASSO socks, they haven't really been an issue when I've been running these longer distances. Being a weekend warrior, I don't always participate in a bunch of races. I've heard a lot of great things about the Peachtree, heard it was going to be a lot of fun. I live up here in the Buckhead area, so I said, I'm all out of excuses to sign up since I'm already over here. Had a lot of anxiety leading up to it because it was my first time running a 10K, let alone anything, any distance that far. Before, I'd only ran maybe 3.5, 4 miles or whatever else. I'd never run a full 6 miles. So I had a lot of anxiety leading up to it, and I almost backed out several times. And I said, oh my gosh, we're already here, we already committed, let's go. So even the day before the race, I don't know what I was thinking, but I rode 20 miles on the road bike and then ran another 3 miles over there at Chattahoochee. And I thought my body was gonna be cashed before I even got to the race, but I was fine and I was good to go. So I bought the LASSO socks because I'm used to just wearing the regular no-show socks and everything else. And the challenge with the no-show socks is they don't really give you any kind of support or whatever else. And what I love about the LASSO socks is that, as I had mentioned before, I have somewhat weak ankles. So it almost feels like you're wearing ankle tape, and it gives you the additional support that you need when you're running and when you're twisting, and also the additional padding on the heel makes a big difference, especially on that 6 mile run that I did. I thought I wasn't going to be able to walk afterwards, but I was fine. I was able to go enjoy the rest of the evening, go see some fireworks, and as I'd mentioned, I'd never run 6 miles before that. So now with the LASSO socks, I feel even better about my running. I've been able to step up my distances, and my times have been a lot faster. And now I'm going to be doing 10 miles, and I'll be doing a half marathon at the end of the year, all in the LASSO socks. This is the first time I've ever been able to run that far, usually because the shin splints were always too much for me, or I was just never able to really push myself to get that distance in. But the LASSO socks definitely make all the difference. Yeah, so I've been mountain biking for probably about the past 8 years. I grew up riding BMX, and being on the mountain bike trails, I love the mountain bike because you're having to hit rocks, roots, all kinds of different uneven surfaces. You're having to dodge a lot of trees. And a lot of times you have to get off the bike because sometimes there might be a tree down or whatever else, and you're on a lot of uneven surfaces. So having the LASSO socks makes all the difference, because if you roll on it the wrong way, the last thing you want to do is be 6 miles into a trail and then have to walk out because you sprained your ankle or whatever else. So they make a huge difference. So growing up wrestling, I mean, it was a pretty intense sport. So if you ever knew anybody that wrestled, I mean, you could usually tell their ears are a little bit jacked up and they're probably a little off. Some of the injuries I faced, I mean, I messed up my shoulders a number of times. I used to always roll my ankles because having to be dropped on the mat and then having to push somebody and to really drive all your body weight, you're putting a lot of stress and a lot of load on your legs, and especially on your ankles. And I used to roll my ankles all the time. I use the LASSO socks now because I needed something that was going to give me more protection around my ankles, because my ankles are a little bit weak, especially when I'm riding, and knowing that I have that extra support around my ankles and my feet or whatever else, it gives me the confidence I need to go bombing down some hills and go take it on some more trails, and I can ride a lot longer and my body's not as fatigued. So when I go hit it Monday morning, as the entrepreneur that we are, I'm refreshed, I'm good, and I know I'm not going to get injured when I'm out there, because these things usually really help. I've never experienced any kind of support out of this kind of sock. I've tried a bunch of different running socks, and I've tried everything with the ones that were really padded on the bottom, but nothing gives you anywhere remotely close to the support that the Lasso gives you. I mean, it almost feels like your leg is wrapped in ankle tape, and it almost feels like a really custom glove that you're putting on for your feet. There's nothing else that's like it.